Color, we'll talk some more, yeah? Okay, let's go. The people who are so, the people lie to us, the government betray us. We tired with their lies, we tired with their promises that left us to allow our damages. We tired with their speech they preach indeed, and now unique they deceive us. The thing we saw, it frustrates us. So why did you lie? Why did you steal? Why did you allow the citizens to be? You see, we just tell you that why we voted you. But you screw us, you screw us, you use us a little, abuse us. So why? The government should lie. Why? But now the question that we ask. The people fool us, the people lie to us, the government betray us. They can lie, they can steal, they will not to corrupt. No one to trust. My people don't want to hope on. Nobody. My hope that I have been broken. I'm telling you, brother. So where are the schools? Where are the roads? Where are the jobs that they said they could afford? But they're too selfish. The people tired with their rhetoric. People tired, they tired. You see the reason why we ask why the government betray. They have enough of time, but yeah, then instead they delay. People suffer. No work for people crying for hunger. Look at. Your vision and your mission, your intention to the nation, they poor. You got nothing to show.
Hey,
Isaac, how are you?
man, I'm good. How's your day going?
So far, busy.
That's good. Busy is good.
Busy.
Yeah. So who lied to us again recently? Who lied?
Well,
Minister of Foreign
we
Affairs?
got this issue that we had raised initially when the NEC asked for millions of dollars.
My man, today you tell the people hello, man. Before you start your talk, you tell the people hello.
Okay, how you doing? How many people we got there?
We got a few.
Okay.
But you know, we don't care if people show up on time or not. Once we come, we start our stuff, right?
Right.
You can
But
listen
it's
later
just
or whatever.
it's just the timing.
Yeah.
So at the end of
You
the
were
day,
saying.
as I was saying,
Yeah.
when the NEC initially asked for these millions of dollars to do biometric registration, I spoke out against it, and I said that they were not the agency to be doing it.
Right.
And it turns out that a whole firestorm is now brewing in Liberia regarding this NEC wanting to do biometric registrations. But now that I've done research on the law that created the National Identification Registry, it turns out that the NEC has no legal authority to create biometric identifications for any purpose. And no other Liberian government agency has that authority except for the National Identification Registry. Okay. In addition to this, the other issues that people are rightly raising in the legislature, and I have to take my hat off to them. The issue they are raising is the NEC wants to move forward with this biometric system for a general election when they haven't even tested the system. Okay. And that's just an opportunity for failure.
So
But
yeah,
Your volume is kind of low, Isaac. I don't know why.
It is. Maybe I didn't turn it back up after I lowered that stuff. Is it better?
No, let me increase mine and see what's going on here. Okay,
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but the volume is low. Let
I
me
don't know
check
what's going on.
my settings here real quick.
My people listening, y'all can hear me? Got my real support crew,
Camera,
yo.
audio, headset, da 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 da. Automatically adjust mic volume. Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Mr. Family.
All right, we're good. I mean, I don't know
Loud
why
and
it's so
clear.
low.
Everybody say they can hear me. So you got to strain your ears now. You can hear
And
me.
can they hear me?
They can hear you clearly. I can hear
Okay,
you
good.
clearly. So we're good.
So,
Oh, shout
no,
out to my man, DeWall Richards, man. What's up, bro? Long time.
how's it going?
Yeah. I mean, doing
So,
good.
I mean, what's your take on it?
Well, you know, like you said, we've been advocating for this stuff for a while now because there's so many efficiencies that can be developed in government around having, you know, an identification database that's solid, you know, from the different institutions that will use that database to verify identity, whether it's the National Elections Commission, whether it's the National Social Security, whether it's the birth and record system, whether it's the passport division, you know. So there's just so much to having, especially with our population, what we have 5 million people, 5.2 million people. It shouldn't be that difficult for us to know who's a Liberian, who's not a Liberian, who's visiting, who's just a resident, or who's in some kind of transit status. So the necessity of a national identification system can be, you can't say it too much because it's really, really required. So that has been my position. Now, in terms of the implementation, we see that NRR has complained about not being properly funded for whatever reason. NEC, because they have a critical role to play, they are mistaking the infrastructure they need to support their role, that they have that statutory responsibility to create that infrastructure, which is not correct. So it was good that you researched the law. And I think we need to share the law with people so they can see it and read it for themselves and understand the scope of the National Identification Registry and what they are supposed to be doing and how it covers so many different areas. It may not specifically say elections, but it say and other. So that covers our whole election situation. And
But
then
it specifically says in the Republic of Liberia.
right. So they basically, like we've been saying, they're like a service organization within it, you know, like, you know, a service center in a company that provides a specific
Correct.
kind of service for, you know, different people who will use those services.
Which is kind of like the same role that GSA would normally played to provide certain services like leases and all of those type of things to the government of Liberia.
Right. And
Okay.
again, it comes to the point you raised, right? These laws are on a book, but the implementation and the adherence to institutional governance in a holistic manner where everybody not seeking to just get their own budget to implement something is what you know, that they're not disciplined enough to do. And that's why everybody want their own budget to scheme their own money at the expense of
And this is what I've described as the cannibalization of government. Okay,
it is.
where money could have been gone, where money should go to create a more capacity. Every agency is saying, no, we will do it ourselves.
Right.
We'll do it ourselves. However, in this specific case, they don't have the legal authority to do it.
Right.
And so one of the things that comes to mind, there are several issues that come to mind. One, the PPCC in reviewing the tender from the NEC for this contract should be saying to the NEC, this is not in your legal remit.
Right, and that's part of what they should do. Who knows whether they actually go back to the law to see whether it's within the mandate.
You don't have the authority to do this. The only organization that has the authority is the National Identification Registry. Okay. Another thing is everybody tries to get along. In a different world, the National Identification Registry would have by now advised the PPCC that this is within only their remit, that the NEC cannot do this.
I mean, I really don't know that everybody's trying to get along versus one or two people trying to pull strings based on connections and based on where the money could be divided. So I believe the NIR person, because remember a few months ago, there was this circular out calling on political parties to discuss the different choices of implementing the biometrics, whether with NEC by itself, whether with NIR and stuff. I don't know how that conversation really went, but I know there were people out there in terms of civil society organizations and that didn't really like the tenor or tone of the conversation, and they wanted to go a different way. But sometimes when our government make up its mind, it's just what they want to do.
Well, I kind of think that a part of it is that a lot of people aren't really aware of the law that set up the NIR.
You have it handy, or I need to go look for it so I can just share with people. So
hold on, let me see. I'm sure I do.
Yeah, it's clear there. I mean, I'll go to the extract.
I'm looking for it. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, you can share it. Yeah, so why are you sharing it? Mohammed,
well, I sent you the link again.
Oh, okay. Rana Mohammed is talking about starting a national census. Yeah, a national census is in place, something that's overdue because it affects the population. It affects some of the provisional goods and services based on what the extent of the census is. So there has been this whole discussion around the census because the people who are managing the census, they have been found or alleged to be corrupt. They have already used some of the census money, and the president has taken no action to bring those people to book. So what can we, the citizens, do when it comes to this kind of stuff where some things are just obvious that's supposed to take place and it's not happening? So I hope you guys can see the screen now.
But what you want to do is you want to go to the functions.
Yeah. I know. I'm just trying to make sure you can see the screen. This is the introductory stuff. We don't need to bore people with it. There's the preliminaries about the establishment, everything like that. There's the authority of the registry.
So, but hold on one second. Hold on. Go back. You see here the power and authority of the registry to sue and be sued in its name.
Right, it's an institution.
So the registry could file suit against the NEC.
Well, they didn't do it, we'll do it for them.
Right.
Because they are a viable entity. They should be able to do this. To
perform any and all of its functions established under the Act.
Right.
D.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's now look at the functions.
Right. So section part 3, functions, 3.1. The general function of the registry shall be to design, establish, maintain, and administer. Well, they're chopping right there, but we'll take it. Administer, acting, and implement the national biometric identification system of the Republic of Liberia.
Right. So the national biometric identification system of the Republic of Liberia, not a national biometric system.
Right. That
means the only one.
Yes. That's what it should be.
Okay.
And then that's the general function right there, right? That's the primary function, to be able to own that particular system, the biometric identification system. Then in furtherance, 3.2, in furtherance of its general function as set forth herein above, the registry shall have the following specific functions. So listen, folks. To design, establish, and or acquire the technical infrastructure and control procedures that will serve as the platform for implementation of the NBIS.
Okay, so let's stop right there.
Yeah.
This means now that the NEC is going to do exactly this with its biometric system.
If we go on the track of
if they stay on that track.
Right.
But they don't have any authority to do that under this act.
And there you go. To collect, organize, store, secure, and grant access to secure biometric data to be collected from individuals applying for national biometric identification cards and other key documents, such as passport, driver license, and social security cards.
Okay. Right. So grant access, i.e., they will give access to foreign ministry. They will give access to the people who are creating driver's licenses. Exactly. They will give access to NASCORP, and they will give access to NEC.
Right.
Even though NEC is not specifically named here.
Right. Because
since they are the organization for the entire country.
And what you can tie in is the fact that biometrics for probably elections were not like really considered at this time, even though we're probably talking about it at the time this act was created. And then the fact that they got a manual, registration system, so it was probably not conceived in this way. But once you talk about biometrics as a government institution, this is the source of biometric information that you have to come to, and that's how it should be, as opposed to NEC trying to do its own stuff on biometrics. So we are C, right?
We are at D.
D. No, we didn't do C. To evaluate and determine, in keeping with due process of law, the adequacy of information provided by applicants for biometric identification cards. So if you're not giving the people the right information, they got the right not to give you the card. So they set the standard in terms of what information is adequate for you to be able to receive a biometric identification card. And that's happening now. So D, to design, produce, and issue biometric cards, each with a unique identifying number to be called a social security number. There you go again with social security. To be the primary government-approved identity number for registration of birth, death, passports, immigration documents, bank accounts, driver's license, social security benefits, and other identification documents supported by adequate and appropriate security features to address.
So with D again,
it covers it.
With D again, there's no way for the NEC to say this is in our remit to do this.
Right. And E is just about, to develop and adopt appropriate rules and procedures for the submission and evaluation of biometric data and other information, as well as the storage and security of such data and information. So these are the core functions of
right. But for the NEC to do this, it would have to usurp all of these functions of this agency.
And that's what's happening. Even you look at H, to solicit funding and technical assistance for the purpose of carrying on its functions. So if
to purchase all the necessary equipment,
services
and supplies appropriate to the execution of its responsibilities. So how is the NEC saying now that it's their job to do this for 3 million people when you have an organization that is tasked to do this nationally? Because don't forget, under the remit of the NIR, even people who are not eligible to vote get a national identification card.
That's a fact.
Okay, they get, i.e., a social security number.
Right. because you can have foreigners there who can vote but can work. So they need
Exactly.
to be identified, especially for.
But think about all the students in the country who are under 18.
Right.
The NEC has to register. The NIR has to register them. That's their remit. So, here's my suggestion.
Okay.
That we scrap the entire biometric process for the next election.
But let's give some substance before we talk about scrapping it, right? Because even if the NEC can go through the lawsuit to say, yes, we are the one to do this, the time frame to implement this program, to test it, to train people, and then
okay, so let's give them a perspective on the numbers, because these things have been done in other countries, and according to the US, it takes 20 minutes to register somebody's biometrics using their fingerprints.
Because it's just not about, you got to go, they got to look at your information, they got to validate that, yes, you are John Peter, you do this. Then they got to take your photograph, they got to take your fingerprint. So that average, that takes about anywhere 10, 15 to 20 minutes. But we know the situation we are in and some of the challenges we face in our own, government agencies. And that does not happen that easy, that automatically, that smoothly, but we give them the benefit of the doubt. So to just talk about the numbers a little bit, let's see, yeah.
So if the NEC were working 10 hours a day, okay, and they worked 6 days a week, that means that they would work 60 hours a week,
right,
over a 12-week period, according to them.
Right. And they divided the country into regions. So even if you just conservatively estimate the population and say 2.7 million, because we are 2.476 right now, 2.476 million in terms of population. Okay.
What's the number of people that need to vote?
So the voting population as of 2020 was 2.476425. This amount, 2.4 million or 2.5 million just about. So if that's 2020, so you add 3 years, so let's say 1 million people, but we know that probably about 1.2 million people are being born every year in Liberia. So the population from the 17-year-old turning 18 each year is probably another 300,000 easily. But let's say we look at this as
okay. So Tokbakwoi says we have 2.476542 voters.
But that's what I just said, yeah.
Okay, but let me just say something to Tokbakwoi real quick. Tokbakwoi, since it appears that the director of the NIR, the director of the NIR is very familiar with me. I specifically wrote President Sirleaf a letter regarding the NIR's function and what it was supposed to do way back in 2017. She suggested that Mr. Nangwe engage with me. He contacted me once. I asked him a few questions and he refused to contact me after that. Now he's here, and according to you, he suggested that the NEC use the NIR for the biometric. He wasn't supposed to suggest. He went begging. Okay, because what he should have done, he should have said, it is not the NEC's.
Your man Benito say he live in homeless center. He looking at your pool in the background behind you. Sorry, man, George, but Bobby
Bobby Benito. Boss man, you don't know this, right? My wife is a physician in America.
He doesn't know what it means, lead him ever.
You don't know what that means. Okay? But carry on.
He can work
Honorable.
for you, he can stay in your business.
So Took my coy. He went in there begging. Okay?
But he should have gone in there demanding if he knew where his
and he should have gone in there and said, it's not in the NEC's remit to do this. This is our remit.
So we got work to do, folks. Essentially, George's suggestion, based on everything we have seen, based on the challenges out there in terms of biometrics and stuff, we need to scrap this whole biometrics thing and focus on cleaning the current database, because we know the state got about 15,000 duplicates in our database easily. Plus, the new registration that has to take place, the voter education that has to take place, the encouragement to all our disenfranchised and disappointed people to participate in this process. Because there have been eligible voters who never registered before, and there will be more who will come around this time and not register. So this whole issue of people expressing, their democratic franchise is critical. People thinking that slang talk or just cliche talk. No, it's really, really important for our democracy to grow. And for it to grow, it takes the involvement of all our people and some level of understanding of what their rights are, what they're supposed to do as responsible citizens. So we can't shy away from it. We got to keep talking about it, even though some people may not listen and some people may not understand. But it's the responsibility of every Liberian. Every Liberian who wants a better Liberia needs a better democracy in place. That's our form of government. And we got to educate our people on how they are being governed and what their role is in that governance process, from paying taxes to being a good citizen, a good neighbor, to holding government accountable in terms of advocacy for certain things. All of those things are important parts of democracy. That's why people have a right to protest, to march, to demonstrate, all of those things.
So let me go back to Tukmakoi and let me have him deliver a message to Mr. Nangwe. Because where he should have found an ally in somebody like me, he saw a threat.
You'll still be the main ally, don't worry about it.
Okay? And that's why his ass is where it is now.
My man, don't call our own director, please.
Okay, director. That's why he's stuck. And his agency has no funding. My position is that this agency should be getting funding from Social Security. It should be getting funding from NASCOR. It should be getting funding from the Ministry of Education. It should be getting funding from
Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And it should be getting funding from the Ministry of Agriculture, which had a program to identify farmers. So the idea that you have this ministry that has no this agency that has no funding, but it is the only agency in the country with the authority to do this, is lost on me.
So that's why it's important for us.
And what Mr. Nangwe has failed to do he has failed to find allies who can adequately represent this story or the role of the agency.
Yeah, Tukpa, we know that timetable.
But what we're saying is it's not possible.
But it's not realistic, because you look at it like this. Yeah,
if it takes 20 minutes to register each person, and you have 2 million people to register, you're looking at 40 million minutes.
So you see here, with there are 3 regions: Montserrado, Bombing, Cape Ma, and Bapalo in Region 1. And if you look at like the population, is about 1 million and change. I had a number down here. That total is over here 1,200,000, and that's using 2020 numbers. not what is going to be later on. My Gibi, Grand Baza, Bon Lofa, the lesser, Nima, Grand Gita, River G, Maryland, Grand Crew, you know, they Southeast people, they ain't got plenty of people over there. Nima is the big thing here. So the numbers actually boil down and look at the days, right? So that's 22 days in this first period from Thursday, December 15th to Friday, January 6th. But we got Christmas and New Year yet. And we got one other Sunday. So that 3 days that will not be part of that process. Then most likely you may celebrate Christmas on the Monday after that Sunday. I think that's what we usually do. Right? And then on that Tuesday, you may celebrate, January 2nd, the Monday for January 2nd, my bad. Monday for January 2nd, you will celebrate it. So you're celebrating, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days out of those 22 days that will not be used. And that means that only 17 days they actually have out of that first 22 to register all these people, which is not realistic to register the 1 million people over yet. Because if for these 1.2 million people, it would take 20 minutes for each of them to be processed, assuming smooth processing, that's 24 million minutes you need. And how many days you got? You got, I think, 22 days, but actually it should be 17. So if we are to reduce this 22 to 17, we got so many more minutes than what we got over there. Then there's 1 million. Then you got to reduce by the hours in a day. You only got 10 hours a day that are working. And are they going to work that full 10 hours? Who knows? Maybe they say when I'm working from 8 to 6, so my people will work from 8 to 4. Then we short break. Then they got to take lunch on top of it, and who knows how long that lunch will be. So there's just so many things about this that makes no sense for the time crunch that we are in, for them to go ahead and implement this biometric system now. And then there's already the whole procurement process is messed up right now anyway. So I just personally don't think this will happen. But just in case they do try to happen, to make it happen, we have to put in some preventive measures. We got to make some noise about it and make sure, that it doesn't happen. Yeah, your model closed. I think I projected 2.9 million to 3 million people will be registered to vote in 2023. But 2.8576, not bad, brother. You're doing well. So George, anything else on this?
Well, for now, I think I think we should focus our attention on getting this contract pulled and getting the NEC to commit to a non-biometric process for this election.
But I think wherever they are in the procurement stage, I think the U.S. sent a message already to them to basically say, those Chinese people you're talking to, we ain't recognize them. Because supposedly that contract is an agreed to contract, but it's saying they are not aware of it. I believe the money to pay for this is coming from the U.S. I don't think we have.
Yeah, but why are you paying money when the NIR already has a system to do exactly this?
I mean, that's what we're saying. They had to look at that system, improve it, and let that institution recommend it.
Because at a minimum, we have some experience within the NIR. So to the extent that we need to do corrective action, we need to take certain processes, that should be done within the NIR, not by the NEC spending money, on a system that's already in existence. But I also have to fault our international partners, because they also contribute to the dysfunction in the government. They should know. that the NEC is not the organization to be creating these identifications.
They should, but do they know our laws? Do they know what we have there? Or should they just know from their own experience in their respective countries that this is what's happening in our country? So, we don't know for sure. But let's take it for granted. That's why advocacy is important, folks, that people have to talk about the issues. So there's some other things been happening, Josh. What else on your radar that you think?
Well, I mean, in the last week, this is the one that has really caught my attention because it kind of dovetails between two of the issues that I have been dealing with for the last 15 years in Liberia.
No, it's me. I had a brief network problem just now.
Who has network problems?
I said I did. I saw my network kind of grinding for a second, but now it's okay. Yeah. But you saw the article where the Senate is a little bit are supposed to be called. And George?
Pardon me?
Did you read the article where the Senate, Edwin Snow and a couple other people were really talking against the NEC bringing in this, as if
yes, I read it, and the issue they raised was that there's been no testing of this system. After the election in when was it? 2017?
2020?
No. When I was elected.
Oh yeah, 2017.
Yes, after the issues there, the ECOWAS sent a team that issued a report. And in 2017, it was the recommendation that Liberia go to biometrics for the next election. So we've known this since 2017. How is it that now 1 year before, you are saying we're going to put this thing before you're going to do it in 1 year?
Yeah, they're gonna do it on steroid, no testing.
You didn't do it in the 5 years you had prior. In those 5 years, you've had several by-elections that you could have tested such a system.
Yeah.
So now we are sitting here stuck, and you're saying, "Give me all this money so I can do it." When it's not even your job to do it.
Right, and you can't just throw money at everything. That's not the solution. Money is not always the solution to just throw it, And before, I think they were asking for 20 million, if I'm not mistaken, out of that 91 million, 20 million should have gone to the biometrics. I mean, it is an expensive process, like we had discussed earlier, in terms of the amount of people you need, the equipment you need, the backup equipment in case something breaks in Liberia. You don't have the time to come on.
And so what I also want to find out is, do any of our listeners have a national ID identification card right now?
I'm sure some of them have it.
So if they do, can they please tell us if that national ID card they have has their voting precinct or district on there?
If they have the location, I don't know that I will have the number, because
okay. So if the NIR is already producing identifications with voter information location on there, how is this different from what the NEC is going to produce?
It can't be that much different. Seriously, not much different, because if they got tables tied to whatever town, city, area you're in, to a certain district, so that will be on your reader. Once you get your biometric card, all that information is there.
So in essence, what we're saying is, in the very process of identifying of providing somebody with a biometric ID, the NIR is simultaneously doing what is necessary to register that person as a voter.
Yes, yes, to a large extent. Dwalu, what's
Okay.
up? Ambassador S. Jimmy, how you doing? Jimmy is the man he thinks say that I think Jesus will kind of be president of Liberia. Jimmy disqualifies everybody. But
Okay.
he's an undercover CDC man. He didn't know from the conversation how he can be twisting. But we'll find about him. Yeah. So yesterday, Louis Brown endorsed Mr. Cummings. And I guess, again, this system shaking so much, everything can shake the system. So they've been like throwing stuff. I know you heard a joke. Akaras, I don't know how am I picking Akaras can they be embarrassed and said Cummings gave Ellen $10,000 to where she admitted to for supporting the war. I mean, why the CDC can try to do something substantive for the people of Liberia and want to determine?
Isaac, let me get off and change my browser. That might be the issue, and I will come right back on.
Right, yeah, go ahead. So why is Akaras coming with lies? I mean, plain lies where he couldn't even say it with a straight face. You know, it's just embarrassing that the CDC, after full going on 5 years in power, will be trying to hang on straws to win people over and make their point. The division within the party itself, they can't even handle. And that's something they need to look at first before they start trying to focus on other people on the outside. The internal situation.
Still nothing.
Olu, you taking us back? No, Olu, we're not forgetting the issue of power. The issue of electricity is very critical to this whole process because the fingerprint machine, the thing to look up information, all of those, they would need connectivity, or they got to have some kind of system that you can have everything on some platform server, whatever, that would just upload as soon as you get network. And we know for this.
But so Isaac, here's what they could even do. Okay, once the biometric cards are created, okay, they could even issue a QR code. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They could issue each voter a QR code. Now, they don't have to necessarily have all of the data, all of the national data at every location. They can simply have the county or the polling place data at every location. That wouldn't be that difficult to do. So listen to what I'm saying, okay? And I hope this idiot Bobby Benito can understand what I'm saying.
No, man, leave Bobby, man.
So Bobby, since you're stupid, yes, I'm going to try to explain this for you, okay? And
I told you already, Bobby was an amateur boxer who got beaten a lot.
Olu is on here, he will understand, right? Correct. Hang on. Sometimes when you're transferring very sensitive data, there are hard disk drives that are made that allow you to put in a pin before you can access that data, a physical pin, like buttons on there for you to push before you can access the data. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
So the NEC can then create this data set, okay, for each one of the locations that includes the data to be read off a computer that's not connected to the internet, but is essentially reading it off the drive.
Yeah, yes. I'm just saying.
So that's physically doable. So the question of electricity should not be a big issue.
The other equipment that I would need electricity, George.
Like?
What you do? How you do your fingerprints?
How you do the what?
The fingerprint machine.
No. But Isaac, when people go to vote, they're not taking their fingerprint machine with them.
We're talking about registration. We're not talking about.
Okay, so the registration part is one thing, but
but once you get people data, yes, you can download only for a specific population, like you said. You don't need the rest of the other people information to go to Zwedru or you don't need the entire stuff. So you can have just like set up separate, you can even customize it to be in for each precinct, so that they don't even have to look at anything. They're only looking at information for that precinct and people who's supposed to be at that particular precinct. So yeah, once the data is there, it's easily manageable. Well, Olu, you can sync after the fact. That shouldn't be a problem when you come into the network area. I mean, once you store it properly, you can sync efficiently. But again, that's for you technical people to decide. But anyway, the point some people raise here, just so because people are reading, when people say some stuff, Jimmy says the national ID got problems. And the reason why I had problems, he says, it's because it's supposed to be for everyone who is 18 and above. That means it could be used for everyone living in Liberia and could be used to track people's record. What? you are justifying why we need a national ID card? What, people doing criminal things that they can't track them? Government has to know what's happening. There is nothing wrong with government having information on its citizens. When they use that information in the wrong way to circumvent the law and do things to the people, then yes, that's a problem. Otherwise than that, it's not. Okay? So we can be saying what the role of government is or what it should be, and then you're looking at it in a different way.
Here's the other thing that I'm getting about the implementation of the national ID. According to the way they put it out, the card should have been renewed every 2 years at $5 each. And I'm saying that's crazy. A person's fingerprints don't change over a 2-year period.
What's the point of renewing it?
Exactly. Now, I don't even get it.
It's just revenue generation, maybe.
Because they should have, because even in the US, Isaac, your driver's license, I know here in Arizona, our driver's license is for 10 years.
Yeah, most driver licenses now are 10 years. They used to be for like 5 years before, but they pushed it to 10 years.
And even if your address changes, you don't even need to send in a picture. You just go online and fill out your change of address, and they will send you a new license with your picture. So the whole process, the part of the reason this thing failed, okay, and I will put it all at Tia Nangbe's doorstep, because he had an opportunity to bring in people who understood all of the different processes and issues that needed to be addressed.
But what?
Okay, they started issuing these things. They issued them to foreigners living in Liberia. Then they decided, no, foreigners living in Liberia shouldn't have it, and which is incorrect. Everybody living in the country should have a national ID. The NIR should have a way of distinguishing who is a Liberian citizen and who is not.
It should. And that's
people
why
who come to America as students, they get social security numbers.
Yes, everybody, there's indicators on everything that will determine, what a person is, what is not, what they're allowed to do and stuff. So that's why
Ambassador Jimmy, the ID should be used for security reasons.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what he's saying.
It's a national ID.
It's a national ID. How do you think immigration?
Let me ask you this: for as much security problems that Liberia has, do you want to live in a country where there is no security?
There
is no ability to identify people? Let me tell you one of the security reasons, Ambassador Jimmy. Let's say somebody commits a crime in Nuclear Town. Okay, as we used to say during my day, and they used to read on police report, a notorious rogue. Okay, so you commit a crime in Nuclear Town, they arrest you. They don't have any way to identify you as being who you say you are. Your name is Ambassador Stephen Jim, or your name is Stephen Jimmy. Now you go to Congo Town and you commit a crime. And they don't have any way to identify you, and you say, oh, my name is Jimmy Stephen. Then what?
Then with our current system, you probably go free. They don't connect those crimes.
Okay, so now we don't know who you are. But if we have your ID and your biometrics, once we punch that into the system, they will say this is the same person. Tokmakoi, there should only be two classes of people. There should be citizens and non-citizens.
Well, the citizens, the residents, there's non-residents.
No. You're either a citizen by classification, or you are a non-citizen and a resident. The only way a non-citizen can get a national ID is if they are a resident.
Well, they're for temporary time, like 1 year.
No. What do you mean temporary? What's temporary?
Let's say you're a UN worker or something for 1 year.
You're working in the country.
Right.
Every UN worker has to come to the country and get a work something issued by immigration and naturalization.
They're not necessarily a resident per se, but our resident application immigration.
Isaac, even if you work for the UN, immigration and naturalization is supposed to issue you some sort of special work permit.
I agree, but you still not a resident.
As soon as you fall into that, you will get a national identification. Anything that authorizes you to work.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that's a different classification from somebody who's not a full citizen. Like somebody who come from Ghana, stay there 5 years and want to be a resident. They're not a citizen yet. So
again, but they stopped issuing it to people who are not Liberian citizens.
But Jimmy, we're supposed to use that thing for security reasons, though. I don't know why you don't understand. So somebody asked George, voting day, how NEC workers would verify the information of the individual with maybe he meant without current.
Although I am of the contention that all of that data can be put in the cloud.
Oh yeah, no question it can be put in the cloud, and it can be
the idea of us having and managing a data center right now is obsolete. I understand the need for data centers,
but we got a data center that can manage any amount of data in Liberia.
We don't need that data center in Liberia, but we can put it in the cloud and not have to deal with all of the attendant hardware failures and security for it and all of that.
Yeah, Olu, you're right. So look, talk about working. I don't know that Nangbe brother, or he working to the NRO.
The man said he doesn't even know Nangbe. And you know how Peter denied Jesus? That's my man right there. Before 1 o'clock, before 12 o'clock my time, he would have denied Nangbe 3 times.
Yeah, so hopefully we can find somebody who can kind of tip out the personal information and show how the national ID card looks. But hey, if it's not classifying somebody as a citizen or non-citizen, that's a problem too. Not everybody with the national ID card is a citizen. No, it's not. So, but back to where we were, I believe.
So George is asking, how will NEC residents, how will NEC workers verify the information? We just talked about that.
Yeah.
You can give everybody a QR code that essentially includes their identification information, and you can transfer the precinct-based information on the discs.
So, I mean, again, to me, this is about really educating our people and getting them to understand some of these things. Yeah, they may be technical, but you can break them down, Oh, City Geeks. Identify as that city geek. Step identify them. We'll tell you who we are. But our names right on the screen. You don't see our name? Anyway, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. But yes, our names are visible, so you should be able to see it. So, George, we're back to the issue, and I think Tukpa had made a comment about Mariah leaving the set because of the line of questioning or something to that effect. So, yeah, you're right. The CDC is trying to flip the script. Mr. Cummings has been clear that Mr. Weah was involved in the war. I know we had heard rumors before, but there was nothing, valid or people who could step up. But over the last few years, Yeke has been clearly saying that consistently. There have been other people who have accused Weah of giving monies and stuff like that. So, that's why we need a war and economic crimes court. And that's why people don't understand. Yes, some people may think that, they think Everson, the war was Everson, but there's closure. There's something called closure that is necessary for some people. Some people, family members died with no accountability, and that has not gone away for them. They need closure to those things, even as a country. Well, every day we criticizing people, we're accusing people. Oh, God, new one again, Benjamin Yetin, but the guy's not really. Supposedly he's the FDA director of security or something to that effect. So there were some people who participated in the war who had major responsibility for the war. There's some people who were just foot soldiers in the war. Not everybody will be prosecuted as a war criminal, even some of the people who did the actual killing. So that's what people have to understand about war crimes code. But we do need that for us to be able to move forward, for us to be able to close that chapter in our history. That is a very sordid and negative chapter that we have been dealing with. It still hangs over us. We got a significant number of people who are involved in the war still in government today. And unfortunately, the way our people vote or the way they recognize people is for those things. Whether it's good popularity or whether it's notoriety, they are known. So they have a name. And so because of those easily recognizable names, they have the opportunity to get elected or to say, I fought for you, I did this for you, I did that for you. And our people are vulnerable. So some of these people have access to resources and they can use those to get to people. So this whole election thing, sometimes we just need to keep educating. It's frustrating. But until we can get our people to that level where they fully understand and they can discern who's a good candidate and who's not a good candidate, will be in this drive towards good governance or really implementing our democracy appropriately for a long time. So it's all of you listening and all the other people who may listen later out there. It is important that we keep teaching, keep educating, keep talking about these issues so our people can start to feel more comfortable that they understand what's going on. Hey, Jimmy, who sees this man now run away again?
Who is this?
That Jimmy blasting at me. Yeah, I am. You can't stay somewhere just be hitting your head against the wall. You gotta find an outlet and move. So don't be stuck. The other thing, George, that people are concerned with is President Weah is coming to visit the U.S. on the UNGA.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been some talk with some people about protesting his appearance. There has been talk among, seditionists and other people to go to, not necessarily counter protest, but I guess to support his presence. What's your perspective of the UNG and what does it mean? What is its significance?
Well, at the end of the day, Mr. Weah is the president of the Republic of Liberia. Okay?
Yes.
The U.S., in my opinion, has already undermined Mr. Weah, because my understanding is that Linda Greenfield Thomas has invited the former president of Liberia to attend the UNGA as her guest.
I mean, she can do that.
It's never been done before.
But she can do it.
It's no, Isaac. Yes, you can invite anybody you want to invite. But the fact that the current president of Liberia is attending, you know the stature that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has in the international community. Okay? It is this invite of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is specifically designed to overwhelm and reduce Mr. Weah.
Well, to a lot of extent, Mr. Weah reduces himself.
So, here's a person who was the former president of Liberia, and this is her successor. What do? I'm a booga dancer. You see? I mean, think about it.
The man got a most nickname.
This other one is a booga dancer. So
no, come on, not just a booga. Come on, booga dancer, CBD. Okay.
So
and then
that's
the
a
other
problem.
people can call him the BDP, booga dancing president.
So it reduces Mr. Weah's stature significantly.
Yeah, it does.
And I think it's a disservice to him. And unfortunately, all the people he's paying to lobby for him, they couldn't get that across.
We got to find out where those lobbyists are, whether we're getting value for our money. Hopefully, he will be able to, get some of the visits he wants to get. Because I think those visits will be instrumental in him understanding the sentiments of the people here. Because sometimes, the ambassador can talk, you been hearing an ambassador every day talking to you. My man, your people corrupt, your people corrupt. And it may not mean anything to him. But when he hears it from some of those other people he wants to beat,
Yeah, Miata, I understand that he will still have to introduce himself, but he can now introduce himself as president of Liberia as opposed to the booga dancing president. You understand? Put it to you this way. I made a joke with the booga dancing thing. But when you hear Weah speak and you hear Ellen speak, the first question that comes is, how did they go from this to that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that in and of itself reduces him.
City Geeks, the difference is, like somebody says, she has status and Weah does not have status in that mix.
She is being invited to attend as the former president of Liberia. She's not being invited to attend in whatever role she works for, she plays for the United Nations.
Yeah, she's some kind of ambassador or something for democracy. But her presence overshadows in the minds and eyes of those people. To us, it may be different. Now we got somebody who has some level of credibility with regards to the democratic workings in the United States. The mayor, Wilmer Collins, what he says, he did it to himself. Lobbying is a waste of money because the international community is aware about who Weah is. No one reduced Weah but himself. That's just what I just said. The guy reduced himself. He could have elevated this country and himself to a different level. But hopefully, Liberians can wake up and change that, because nobody taking his celebrity away from him or his accomplishment as a soccer player. But love of country that we thought that really does not exist is not a reason, as they were being recently now with the whole accusation about him being involved with modern learn and visiting the what do you call the place? The refugee camps, and other people dispute that. I mean, there have been enough people who say he did. There are also now people who say he didn't. So what's the truth? at some point we'll probably find out there will be a real.
Here's my thing with all of this.
Finding that will reveal all of that.
Here's my thing with all of this Model and Lurch stuff with Weah.
Mm-hmm.
Weah has already been elected president of Liberia.
Right.
We have enough to judge Mr. Weah on.
Oh, but I don't think that should drive the presidency.
Right. We don't need to relitigate the Civil War. Okay.
No, the whole thing is for a different reason, though. If he was actually involved, I mean, those people should not be involved in the governance of the country. That's the point.
Oh, absolutely.
His performance has definitely demonstrated that he should not be given another opportunity to create another 6 years of nightmare for the Liberian people. That should be clear. But look, George, at the end of the day, we can't force people. If people feel their lives are better, and that's the key question. Is your life better today than what it was?
Ambassador Jimmy, let me explain something to you. When George Bush came to Liberia, when George Bush
why you always start with this?
No, because these people they think we JJC. When George Bush came to Liberia, what did he give you guys? He gives you guys books. He went to Ghana and gave them over $100 and something million in that same trip. Okay, so he came and danced with y'all because y'all were funny. That's why. You were not. He didn't take you all seriously.
No, if people would prioritize somebody dancing booga dance to their own future and their children's future, you cannot do anything. That's where that person is. So we either accept that some people are enjoying this life, they are progressing. Weah is making a big difference for them to vote for him. That's how some people would think. But there are other sound people who will say, look, all these different things have changed for me negatively. Things are worse. People are crying every day for all the things we have complained about in opposition. So you really can't do anything about it. The decision is the people's. It's just about getting them to the polls. Let them express independently, without any pressure, free, fair elections, open, that they can vote and do what they want to do. But beyond that, I don't think much else anybody can do. You can only try to educate and inform them. You can't force them to vote the way you want them to vote. And if they don't recognize where the country is going, how difficult things have become, and if the candidates who want to replace Weah cannot sell themselves as that real change that people want, then that could be a problem. But I think Mr. Cummings is doing a great job of reaching out, of explicitly stating his agenda, and trying to let the people know where he wants to take this country, what his vision is for Liberia. I think it's clear to most people who are listening to Mr. Cummings, speak. So it's up to the people to decide at that point. But people should keep working, keep pushing, keep educating, keep mobilizing, keep recruiting. And that's what you do. That's what politics is all about. So George, what else on your radar for this?
I'm done for today.
Right.
So
So we didn't really get to the next steps in terms of where we go now, given what we know, given what we think the situation should be. How do we push the national discussion and get the NEC, the legislature, and just the general populace to see where our goal is and join us?
I think legislators right now are beginning to grab onto the fact that it's not the NEC's role to do any of this. What needs to happen is they need to resolve clearly that this function is a function that must reside within the NIR. Any money made available for election identification must go to the NIR. Simultaneously, we must also commit that we cannot go forward with biometric registration for election for 2023.
No, we really shouldn't.
The time is just not there. Okay, this will be a system that has not been tested at all, and when it fails, it will present huge problems for the election.
Huh. Now, the real problem we're gonna interim government will be calling for.
Right.
So we don't want that. We want democratically elected government, whether that we are, or whether that is a communist or whatever. We need to maintain and harden our democracy. So
we can start by looking at just the problems that they had in the last election and how we fix those problems. I wrote extensively about the fact that in the last election, they didn't have primary keys for the voters.
Right.
And so you had people showing up who were, multiple times.
Right. John Flomo John.
So we can address those problems. Okay? Let's just be very clear. People have had elections all over the world without computers. The computer should not be the instrument that makes the election less efficient. And based on what I'm seeing from the NEC, that's exactly what's going to happen. It should be an instrument of efficiency.
An improvement, process improvement, everything.
But it can only be that with the specific processes are tested and implemented. It can't fail.
Okay.
Again, Ambassador Jimmy, what I'm saying to you is the NEC simply can't do it.
But what he mean they should start? Start what?
They can't do it.
12 months?
They can't.
And the thing is, they got a time limitation. By the end of March, latest, they should have all the registered voters. And this time frame they have now to that end of March is not enough for them to be able to do that. So let's not belabor the point. But again, they don't have the mandate to do it. That's even the more important point. So we'll keep harping on that point or those points until enough people can pay attention to it. So if you don't have anything else, George?
No, I'm good. Let's see how this thing plays off for the next week or so with regards to this NEC thing. But you can go ahead and push your Monster drink.
No, not Monster. Mansi power drink.
Okay.
Monster is a waste product. That in there is not healthy. It's harmful. This is very healthy. This is fruit based, no added sugar, no other stuff. So hopefully people can recognize that. But anyway, I will call you offline because I expect an investment from you too. You gotta invest in the business as well. But we'll talk about that one separately.
Call me offline about it.
Right. All right, folks. It's been wonderful. We always try to spend beneficial time with you, and we thank City Geeks. City Geeks, what you want to talk about technology before George go? What specific aspect of technology? Why you put right in that one? Say thank you to Ambassador Jimmy and Tukpa, who really keep us engaged. Miata, definitely today our man Olu Adams was actually involved in the conversation.
City Griggs, I'm a database architect with more than 25 years experience.
Bringing his experience. The mayor himself was on here today. Mayor Ugalatogo, I will call you Mayor. Miata. Jimmy E., how do you measure the success of your education efforts? You mean your national education efforts or your individual education efforts? Because there's several metrics being used. I can measure it. But for us, if you're talking from a national level, we got to look at infrastructure. We got to look at the quality of the education.
City Griggs, Liptelco has a functioning data center, or they should have had a functioning data center. Unfortunately, that train has left the station, and we now need to move the data, all of that data, to the cloud. I'm on Facebook. What do you mean? How can we connect?
Yeah, both of us on Facebook. He's George K. Fambule on Facebook. I'm Va Isaac Tukpa on Facebook. So feel free. Urita Zina, thank you for the compliment. All right, folks. We shall be talking again next Wednesday. But don't forget, this Friday, we're coming with the week in review, where we review all the news of the week, the highlights and stuff. We have a little bit more focus on Ambassador Louis G. Brown's, endorsement of Mr. Cummings, the impact it's having on, the ruling party. And there's multiple other issues we again touch on this whole elections thing, because between now and Friday, one or two things could probably come up that could, cause Mulbai to rehash some of this other stuff. We'll be closer to the President We Are UNGA visit. We'll talk about that. Some people have talked about picketing him or protesting his presence there. We don't know if that's a realistic thing that they're doing.
And I don't agree that it's warranted. Mr. Weah is the president of Liberia.
Yeah, but
saying that Liberia should not have a president?
No, okay, maybe I'm wrong. It's not necessarily his presence per se, but maybe the level of corruption. Because I protested.
Okay, you want to protest corruption, but it's not like you're protesting against Mr. Weah's appearance.
No, I misspoke. That one I can take responsibility. I was wrong. Now I don't think it's because of his appearance, because he has that right. It's enshrined in his role as president. He should represent us at those kind of occasions, and that's fine and good. It's just that he doesn't represent us well, but he is supposed to represent us. Okay. Oh, Maki Manu, are you looking at those sanctioned officers to take part in the elections? That is another issue people are bringing up, right? That because now the sanctioned officials are segueing into pushing their own personal political career.
Okay, so again, that is one of the things that we would take the Weah government up on, because here's the problem. Those sanctions don't exist in a vacuum. They had to provide some information to the government of Liberia. The government of Liberia has taken zero action with regards to what case was made against them and whether those cases are prosecutable. When it comes to Mr. Cephas, the justice minister has already accused him of forgery, which is a crime.
But at the same thing, you are trying to prosecute, or I should say persecute Mr. Cummings for how many months? From like August to February, March?
Correct.
So he should be prosecuted.
Exactly. So the fact that you can do that, I mean, the fact that the Justice Ministry has taken no action against Mr. Cephas for forging the minister's signature, because at this point there should even be a move to disbar Mr. Cephas as a lawyer.
Yes, he's criminal.
Okay, so those people would only be allowed to take part in a national election if Weah chooses not to prosecute them. Okay, so Olu, we understand that the cloud it resides in a physical location. What I'm saying is that physical location doesn't have to be Liberia.
And though the people can have the data, it can be secure in a way that they don't have access to it.
We have challenges in Liberia with electricity. We have challenges in Liberia with generators. The idea that we need to host all of those things in Liberia, I think we lost the opportunity when we didn't develop LibTelco. But let me just say this really quickly, Udu. The same problem that we had with LibTelco is the problem we are having now with the NIR, where government agencies, where LibTelco was supposed to have been the service in agency to provide their hosting services for as a data center, they all decided to build their own. NASCOP decided that they were going to build their own data center.
Man, Olu probably should have been at
the central bank. And Olu, tell me if I'm lying. The central bank, you can stand up on one side of Lynch Street and people in the central bank yard.
Hey, boy.
Okay, that's how far the central bank is from the from
the telco.
From the telco. But the central bank built its own data center, even though it was that close.
So TD Nimle, I know you're asking about moving on.
I think the only organization that houses its data right now is the Ministry of Finance.
Oh, that the only institution that
because that's where the IFMIS was installed.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, but Olu, this isn't a right talent and management thing. This is the fact that the money that would have gone to Liptelco
is going somewhere else
to pay for those services went to a separate service provided by the central bank.
It just like
what service provided by NASCORP.
It's just like what they're doing with the biometrics right now, trying to do.
Right. It's not about the management. The government agencies simply refused to purchase those services from Liptelco.
And Liptelco were reasonably cheaper than some of those other things.
But they had the infrastructure.
Yes.
They already had the infrastructure. So all of that equipment just sat there and went to waste.
So George, I got to answer Titi Nimlan. She said, now, Va, what do you think about the so-called CEO disrespecting the so-called CEO, the best CEO for a company?
But that's his own show.
Disrespecting Mariah yesterday. I really don't know what happened. And Mariah has not explained to me what happened on the show. So I don't know
if somebody has a video of it.
Yes, I will go watch the show, but damn, I don't watch Spoon Show because sometimes the panelists, then the trend of the discussion is not substantive enough. But I will try to watch this to find out what time Mariah left and see. And on Friday, I will have an opinion after I watch it. But if Titi, you will come on and tell us exactly what happened. I can put the link here.
I gotta go.
You can go. You can go.
I gotta bounce. You can keep it going.
Thank you, George. We appreciate you. I'm sure our listeners appreciate the knowledge you gave out here. So Titi, I'm not sure what really happened. But again, if you can share with me what happened before I go and watch it, I will appreciate it. Otherwise, I will have to wait until I watch it and then give my feedback on Friday. But I know the other day, Kev did. Okay, I understand, Titi. No problem. Focus on your work. But I know the other day, Kev did insult Mariah, and I felt she handled him appropriately. You know, Mariah is very intelligent. So even if, what's his name? Stanton had insulted her, it probably depends on the kind of insult that would have her. I don't know whether it was because he moved her off the set and chose to let her stay out for a certain time, and then she came back, or some other people saying she was interrupting people or something. So I don't know what it is that really caused it, but hopefully I will find out from her, and I will listen to the show, and then I'll be able to give my own position on Friday. So I hope that kind of satisfy you for right now, TT, and then we'll go on it. Olu, you still on it here? Yeah, but that's the whole idea: centrality and skill. But it's not being done. So the other people, they need to be buying equipment, all that kind of thing. I mean, it's just about centralizing the effort. There you go, Ambassador Jimmy. So where's serious or somebody saying serious? How do you know it was not serious? Okay, what happened? What happened, Ambassador Jimmy? That you would say, so many different people say the man disrespected the young lady, but you are saying it wasn't anything serious. Anyway, to each his own. You are entitled to your opinion. We just hope that we can start to build civility in our discourse. We can start to understand everybody got freedom of speech, but everybody can speak at the same time. We got to listen to each other. We can be talking past each other whole day, screaming at each other. It's not helpful. It's not healthy. We got to, if you know your position, you understand your position, you got to be willing to debate your position and listen to the other person offering or their position, put some holes in it, and remake your case. But if you can't do those simple things, have a simple debate, an intellectual exchange, then what we expect the people who don't even, know all these things to do? because a lot of people who are kind of traumatized and so militaristic, their solution to anything is to physically dominate somebody, you beat them up or something like that. And that's not where we should be going. Our discourse should not be, littered with insults, denigration, demeaning people. No, you can do these things and have these engagements with others. That's why for me, even when somebody cuss me, I care how they cuss me, I'm like, you don't even qualify to cuss me. So why would even get first with you? Say whatever you want to say. I mean, any John Peter for anyone one can't believe you, I got a problem. But not everybody got that same level of confidence that you can cuss them or say anything to them. So some people are sensitive. Yeah, but George was saying, oh wow, how you call somebody rude for making a case? Now big forehead, I stand on guy you want me to conquer. All right, I'll go listen to the tape myself, and then I will come up with my own opposition. Maybe then you will get even scared more, and I'll call me on the show. All right, folks. This has been a wonderful time. We did like an hour and change. Thank you for listening. Olu, again, we're all missing our man, Daniel Mayer. We're keeping his family in our prayers. I look forward to seeing you on is it the 21st or the 22nd? I think the 22nd. I think I'm coming the 22nd and leaving on the 25th. But I will call you from here, Olu, so we can chat. All right, folks. Y'all take care and have a wonderful rest of the week. Peace.